I was in best and final on a ton of deals this last year. And I'm like, it traded for what?
Right.
There's no way those investors are going to get those returns. I hope they don't lose their money.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello, welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, excited to have Rod Khleif back on the show. Rod, how you doing?
Good, brother. Real good. It was good to see you at that conference last week. And, sorry we didn't get longer chance to talk. I think I was walking out the door when we actually shook hands. But no, it's good to be back. Let's have some fun today, brother.
Yeah, it's good to get to some of these conferences every once in a while. Get to see people you haven't seen in a while. I met some people that have been my, Facebook or LinkedIn friends for a long time, and you finally get to actually meet them in person. So it's always cool to catch up with guys like you that I haven't seen in quite a few years.
It's been years.
Yeah, it's been years. You were on the show. I just went back, looked it up. You're on show episode number 90. So if anybody wants to re-listen to that, a lot of stuff has changed, but Rod's still the same Rod. So some good stuff. So listen to episode 90.
Same boring story, So if you want to go ahead and put the snooze button on, go ahead.
I don't know. Your story is pretty exciting, and we'll dive into that. Rod, Rod's a multiple business owner. He's a philanthropist. He's just super passionate, very high energy. He does a lot of real estate. What do you call them? Summits, seminars, just
boot camps. Really, training is really what they are. Yeah,
man. I was at one in Chicago, Rod.
Oh, you were? I didn't know that.
Super impressed by.
Thank you.
By your energy. Man, thanks. I don't think I've seen a guy up on stage for as long as you were with the amount of energy. Just, you're just kind of lit up the entire time. You can just feel it coming out of you. So it was really fun to watch kind of you up on stage, and very engaged audience. So if you have a chance to go to one of Rod's boot camps, and I think there's one coming up, Rod, we can hit on that.
Yeah, there is actually the end of July. And I really appreciate that. I didn't know you'd actually attended one, buddy. I forgot that, it's thousands of people a year. I lose track.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. I had the pleasure of being up on a panel for just a little bit, but it was a blast. They're a lot of fun. So
I can't believe I forgot that, man. I apologize.
Dude,
just too much. Yeah.
You have so many of these events. I can't believe you're able to do all these. But really,
well, I've actually cut way back. I'm only doing this one a year now, and so this one in Denver is my only one. And it's me for all 3 days. So it is brutal. It usually takes me a full week to recover, but yeah, it's 3 days of training, and it's not a big sales pitch. I talk about my coaching for about 30 minutes, and the rest of it's full on training. It is drinking through a fire hose. But I'll give your peeps a hell of a deal. You can come for $197 for 3 days of training. It's truly a no-brainer. This last event we were at, they charged $1,700, and so so $197. And so here's how you get the ticket. Let me just say that before I forget.
Yeah, usually I save this to the end, but we might as well. Sorry. Let's do it right now.
Okay, yeah. I'll forget otherwise probably. Yeah. So text Rod to 72345. But remember the code RODFRIEND, because the price is almost double the $197 now. So just remember the code RODFRIEND as one word. Text ROD to 72345. And I promise you'll be glad you came if you come. And we're going to talk about why, in a little bit, why I think getting up to speed right now is critical, but we'll save that for later. But anyway, thanks. I could have waited. I just typically
that's perfect timing.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly. If you're interested in multifamily real estate, it's a great boot camp to attend. And truly, you're drinking from a fire hose. You do a lot. One of the cool things I thought that you did that a lot of other people don't do is you also, not only did you teach, multifamily 101, 202, and how do you get this deal, and take you through the whole experience. But you also hit on mindset. You also hit
Yeah.
on like what success actually looks like, and dream, and just, kind of that planning, that goal phase.
Goal
And so
setting. Yeah, the first hour we do goals. Because
yeah, yeah,
how the hell do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You got to
right.
know what you want with clarity. I'm really proud of something, Todd. I've only been teaching a little under 5 years, and my students, now this is my coaching students, now own well in excess of somewhere around 70,000 doors that we know of.
Hmm.
And so, super proud of that. And that doesn't even count the boot camp participants. I just got a DM from somebody today that got 200 doors already from a boot camp. But it's because of the mindset, because 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the stuff we talk about on our podcasts, the technical stuff. You got to take action with what you learn, right? You got to push through fear and limiting beliefs. And, when I immigrated, I was 6 years old. I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills. And when I immigrated, I got thrown into school. I didn't speak English, and and I found out what bullies were for the first time. So I got my butt kicked. I hadn't learned how to fight yet. And then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, lederhosen. Got my butt kicked again. And and then they'd chase me home, and she'd chase them off with a fly swatter thinking she was helping me. So next day, butt kicking. And I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough, and a lot of people have these. And, the thing to remember, I mean, we're kind of on a side road here, but I'm almost done. The thing to remember with belief systems is that acronym is BS, and 99.9% of them are BS, but you got to deal with them. You got to pull them out into the daylight consciously and look at them with your adult mind, because they're typically from stuff that happened in childhood. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. And just recognize that it's BS. And if you look at it rationally, you'll consciously and rationally, it'll diminish and it'll go away. I mean, I used to be terrified I'd get picked in class to answer a question, and now I speak in front of thousands of people a year. And that's how I've dealt with it, just consciously looking at it, and it dissipates. But anyway, I know I kind of totally went off the ranch there, but
no, that's good stuff. I mean, confidence is in yourself, and just the, being able to kind of, we're always going to have fears, but being able to kind of push them down, or not even
push through them, really push through them is really what it is.
Push through them, right?
Yeah.
Solve the fear that's in front of you. But that's really a huge part to your success. I mean, we can talk about all these other things. We can talk about the nuts and bolts of how do you invest in multifamily real estate, but that doesn't work if you've got all these fears, and you've got a lack of confidence, and just the wrong mindset. You're just never going to take action. So
agreed.
You know a bunch of stuff, but that doesn't mean anything.
I like to tell people, it starts with competence. Okay. You've got to learn the business as best you can, but not overanalyze. You can't, you've also got to take that first step, but it starts with competence, which then will equate to some confidence, and then will equate to your ability to influence people. But,
love it.
Like I say, we start with goals, and if you'd like, I could briefly tell my story for those that haven't heard it.
Let's do that. I want to dive in, because I think that's going to be really important. I want to have a conversation about, that, and then I want to lead into some other stuff. So let's talk about, you go as quick as you want, or as long.
No, I'll go fast, because those, a lot of people have heard it, and so I won't belabor it. But I'm an immigrant. Like I said, I was born in Holland. And immigrated when I was 6 with my brother Albert, my mother's Vancia, and we we really struggled. We moved to Denver and really struggled. I remember eating expired food. There was an expired food store we shopped at, drinking powdered milk with our cereal in the morning, which I promise you sounds better than it is. And, and I wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school, until finally I got disgusted and lied about my age at Burger King, flipping burgers when I was 14, because I was tall, so I could buy my own clothes. And then when I was 15, I bought a car. But, I'm sure you have listeners that had it harder than I did in the past, or maybe even have it harder now, but I knew I wanted more. And luckily my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And she was an entrepreneur. I think she got it from her father, my grandfather. He was an entrepreneur as well, but she invested in the stock market with her babysitting money. and she also invested in real estate, and she was successful in both places with no formal education. But the first asset she bought, real estate asset, was the house right across the street from our neighbors named the Jewels. I think she paid around 30 grand when I was 14. When I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep. That had gone up in value 20 grand, and she didn't do anything. And I'm like, you didn't do anything and you made 20 grand? Screw college, I'm getting into real estate. So I went and got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. I was actually a broker. I could have my own office. They allowed you to do that with education back then. Now they got smart and you need some experience, but I was a broker. Well, my first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand, maybe 10 grand. My second year, 10 to 12 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3? What happened was I went and worked for a broker. I was smart enough to know I wasn't going to do it by myself. So I went and worked for a broker, and he's the one that first started talking to me about mindset and showing me the power of mindset. And I dated his daughter, and so we became close. And fast forward to today, I've owned a couple thousand houses. I've rented long-term in 3 states. I own thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And I thought I was a freaking real estate god. Okay. I thought I could do no wrong. My head got so big, I could barely fit it through a door. And, when that happens, God or the universe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008 and 9. I lost $50 million in 2008 and 9 conservatively. And so, what I'm known for talking about on my podcast, and of course at my boot camps like you experienced, is really the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. And then the mindset it took to get back to the success that I'm blessed to have today. And so, like I said, it starts with goals. You've got to know what you want. You've got to create a burning desire. That's what Napoleon Hill calls it in his book, Think and Grow Rich. You've really got to want it. And that's how you push through that fear and those limiting beliefs. Or maybe you're comfortable. Comfort's nice, a nice warm place, and nothing freaking grows there, right? So you got to get uncomfortable to go make things happen for yourself. So
if you're comfortable though, Rod, how do you get to that point? Like if you start to get success, and you saw some success, my guess is you got a little bit comfortable.
No, I didn't actually. I didn't get comfortable. No, I kept going. Going. And I'll explain why. In fact, it related to the limiting belief system, because what I discovered, from being picked on and stuff, that childhood crap that everybody goes through, was that I'd created the belief that I wasn't good enough. And so I used to ask myself the question, how can I show them I'm good enough? And that just continually drove me. Luckily I've replaced that with a much more empowering question that I ask myself. But that said, now I'm so passionate about what I do. Like I said, I've got my wall behind me covered with thank you cards from hundreds of them. You can't even see the whole wall back here behind my green screens covered. And, I this is not ego. Please know, none of this is ego, but I get love literally, every day, every single day. I get DMs, I get emails, I get gifts, cards, you name it. And it's the greatest gift in the world. And so that's why I'm passionate about what I'm doing now and driven.
That gift is better than
no question.
Being able to go out and buy a brand new Corvette or
exactly
a nice place on the beach. Like that's the best gift.
Exactly. And I know you've experienced it with your podcast, and I'm the same way, and I freaking love it. And it's why my wife puts up with me working Sundays and working late and so on and so forth, because she sees how much I love it. But yeah, so it starts with the goals. And that's how you, and like I said, you've got to create that burning desire, because that's what's going to get you to get uncomfortable. Okay. That's what's going to get you to push through that fear. The funny thing about fear is action mitigates it, but so many people are afraid to start. In our world, Todd, there's a lot of very analytical people, and many of them have to check off every single box before they take a move. And you can't do that. You've got to take that first step. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith and the next step will be revealed. And if you're analytical, if you're listening or watching this, let me just say this to you. Just remember and realize that you can drive all the way across the United States at night, your headlights showing 50 feet in front of you, and you'll make it. You might have obstacles, but other people have done it before, and you can make it. It's the same way with this business, or really any business that you apply yourself to, but you got to take that first step. You got to. And so, if that's you, just remember that. So goals is first. Then the next thing is you've got to make a decision. And, the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. If you're going to attack the island, you're burning your ships because you're taking their damn ships home. That's a decision. It's done. Right. Okay. And when it's done like that, there's just no escape. You have to do it. And so, that's the next step. And then after that, it's you take that first step, like I said, and then it's just massive freaking action. You just action mitigates fear, like I said. And, back when I lost everything, in 2008 and 2009, another really important piece is who you hang out with. Back then I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership, and it's a, very expensive mastermind. At that time, it was about 130 grand all in. And I was around people that were thriving through that crash. Okay. They were killing it. And they're like, oh yeah, puss, get up, 50 million, schmillion, just get up and go make things happen. That's who you want to be around, especially in what's coming. I got to tell you, I'm very bearish. I really think that this recession is going to be bigger than people think, and it could actually be bigger than a recession. And like Warren Buffett has said, it's going to be bigger. Elon Musk has said it's going to be bigger. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, said this is going to be a big one. I mean, he says it a lot, but these other guys don't. And now, does that mean it's a time to get scared? No, it's a time to freaking get excited. Okay. Back in 2008 and 2009, I was hiding under a rock. All you could see was a little eyeball poking out. Well, and I got crushed by that wave. This time I'm surfing that wave. Okay. And I really believe there's going to be opportunity, and, and I can explain why I believe that if you like, but, back to mindset for a minute. So there was a couple other pieces I wanted to mention, if you let me.
Let's do that, because I got you raised questions in my brain.
All right.
Let's finish.
So we talked about goals. You got to have the burning desire. We talked about making a decision, and then it's done. And then third, you got to take that first step. Then you've got to be around people that aren't afraid of your goals. So see, most people will default to a peer group that they went to school with or that they work with. And those people may not be the best peers, because they may have their own fears, their own limiting beliefs. They may be jealous of your success. They may be afraid of losing you even if you're successful. They may be afraid of feeling less than if you're successful. And sometimes it's family. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, love the family, love the friends, but choose your peers proactively. Okay. Because if you show me your two best friends, I'll show you who you are, every aspect of your life. I'm just telling you, because who you hang out with is who you become. So choose wisely. Okay. Like I told you about the mastermind I was in. I host my own mastermind now. We met 2 weeks ago in Houston. There's about 6 billion represented. There's about 16 billion total. And it's called the Multifamily Boardroom Mastermind, all hitters. But, we debated what's going on in the debt markets right now in a big way, a lot of discourse back and forth. Some people think it's going to be a blip. Others, like me, think it's going to be bigger than that. But it was a lot of fun. But again, I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. I talked about my warriors, my coaching students that own, upwards of 70,000 doors. Most of those deals are done between warriors. See, and this business is a team sport. And so, you want to get around people that want to do this, and, local meetup groups and things like that, conferences like my boot camp or others like that's why Todd and I were at this one in North Carolina, because this business really is a team sport. Let's see. And there's this one more topic. Well, go ahead and ask your question.
I tell you what, no, I just wanted to make a comment on that, because it's true. So when I started listening, I wanted to buy multifamily properties. I was flipping a bunch of houses. I was buying a bunch of 1 to 4 family rentals, and I wanted to start buying these bigger multifamily. And it was amazing how quickly my mindset shifted, and I became all of a sudden this expert in buying multifamily without ever buying multifamily, because I was listening to a ton of podcasts. I was going to conferences. I was reading every single book and just immersing myself and talking with the people, the local people that were doing bigger deals. And I was hanging out with them. And all of a sudden I became a multifamily investor without really even doing a deal. It's amazing.
It's a mindset.
100% right. So all about mindset. It's about who you're surrounded. Like you said, you're surrounding yourself with these people.
Yeah, no, it's critical. And who you hang out with is who you become, period. Yeah. And so again, like I wanted to be around people that thought I think as hard as easy. And I started the first meeting of my mastermind here at my compound here in Florida. I had 16 guys, 16 men and women, about $1 billion in assets. And I was like blown away by the value that we did over 2 days of meeting. And it was free for everybody. Now I formalized it. And like I say, it's much bigger, but anyway, so the last thing that I'll talk, well, actually there's a couple more, but I'll talk about that as it relates to success and pushing through what's coming and really pushing through, period, is focus. Now, I know that if you listen to or watch Todd, you're a leader. There's just no question, you're a leader. And right now, more than ever, the world needs leaders. And we won't get started on the freaking politics and the fake news and all the crap that's out there. But you have got to stand guard at the door to your mind. You've got to keep out the crap. I mean, yeah, I scan the headlines in the morning and they're always horrific. I got some poor kid got killed yesterday, baby in a car in Chicago. But you know, you can't, what you focus on gets larger. So if you focus on that stuff, it's got both positive or negative. Okay. So if you focus on that negative stuff, that's what's going to get larger. So you really got to pay attention to that, you know, so bring in the good stuff. On my podcast, I'm really proud of something. We just broke 13 million downloads. I had my 700th episode a couple of weeks ago. And I think the reason it's been so successful is I do a clip every week called Own Your Power. And it's just about that, about motivation and owning your power. I do them with music now. They're 5 minutes. If you give me 5 minutes a week, I will juice you. Promise. I will juice you. But even if it's not me, go on YouTube, bring in the good motivational stuff. There's so much good stuff there. So just pay attention to what you're consuming, because focus is critical. And I'll tell you, the most successful people on the planet are the ones that have the most enhanced focus. And, you know, I don't know about you, Todd, but sometimes I'll be sitting watching Netflix and my dumb ass is scrolling through social media on my phone. And the bad thing about that is it kills your focus. Okay. It absolutely kills it. And so really pay attention to that. You know, I don't listen to many podcasts, but one of them is Tim Ferriss's. And I also listen to Joe Rogan. So I try to get both sides of the aisle. But Tim, you know, interviews the best of the best in the world. You know, like best athletes, Michael Phelps, actors, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, you know, billionaires like Ray Dalio, the biggest CEOs of the biggest companies. And he tries to deconstruct how they achieve their success. And I get excited about my 13 million downloads. I think he gets that a week. But the point is I started to hear a pattern. Almost all of them meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? So anyway, I'll stop blabbering here.
So are you a habitual meditator then, Rod?
No, not nearly as much as I should. If I really have a crazy day like I have today, I will do what's called a release meditation, where I'll just close my eyes and I'll just think to myself, release, 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 over and over. And it just like a 2-minute thing that helps me. But I do a kind of a version of a meditation most mornings, where I'll sit in this recliner behind my green screen here. I've got my vision boards on the floor there. You can barely see them there, but I just do gratitude. I just close my eyes. Some people call it prayer, but I it's a little of both for me. I just do gratitude. I think about my supermodel, beautiful wife, my more beautiful on the inside than the outside. I think about my kids, my foundation, and I just do gratitude. But then I'll do gratitude, and I'm going to lose some of you analytical ones in this one, but trust me, it works. I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. And sometimes I'll get emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. Why? Because it freaking works. Okay. I've gotten all the stupid material shit I thought was important. You know, the Lamborghinis, the Rolls, the Bentley, all, you know, the $8 million house on the beach. I got all that because I visualized it. Again, I'm not bragging. I just want to show you what's possible by utilizing, you know, these strategies. And again, you call it prayer, but that's a version of meditation for me. But, you know, there's great apps, by the way, on your phone that you can use to guide yourself in meditations. And there's one I use called Pzizz, P-Z-I-Z-Z. And you can even set it for like a 10-minute nap or a 10-minute meditation, or 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever you want, and there's several of them out there that are cool like that.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities out there. If you like those apps, if you want to learn how to meditate or do anything, I'm the same. For me, it's more prayer than meditation. And I'm the same way though. I think you have to visualize what you want. You have to, but not only visualize, you have to be thankful for what you're going to be receiving. And so
got to use gratitude.
Yeah,
got to use gratitude.
Every morning it's I'm thanking God for the abundance that that's being brought forth to me today. And I think that's just important to realize, like this life is so abundant. There's so much out there, Rod. You have been blessed by a lot, and there's other people that have been blessed by so much. And it's not just reserved for you, right? It's not just reserved for you. It's not reserved
there's
for
so
me.
much
it's not
abundance.
reserved for Tim Ferriss. It's reserved for everybody who wants to receive it.
I've got a sign in my exercise room that says God's wealth flows through me in avalanches of abundance. Thank you, God. And I'm visualizing not just money. I'm thinking relationships. I'm thinking love. I'm thinking feedback and so on and so forth. And it's a very powerful, and I use those. I have them on my wall here. I have I am statements as well. I am success. I am the best in the world at what I do. I am a business genius. Now, that's not me being braggadocious. These are things I'm aspiring to be. Yeah. See, the thing about the I am statements is anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement. And there's no greater force in the human psychology than the need to remain consistent with how we identify ourselves. So, use those. Like, I'll be exercising, I'll be running on my treadmill, be like, I am courage, I am determination, anything I'm trying to really build in myself. And it gets into the freaking fiber of your being. My kids help me at my boot camps, and that's the question they get most often. Does he really do that shit? Does he really yell that stuff out? Like, yeah, we grew up with that, but it's because it works, Yeah,
I love it. When I first started doing some speaking, I would get nervous, and I used to be a teacher too. And so, but I'm speaking in front of these groups of people in these real estate rooms, and I'm like getting nervous, and I used to get the chills. I don't know if you've ever had that, but I used to get like super cold, like where I'm like shaking. And I started doing that I am like, I am here. I'm the one everybody wants to hear. I have the knowledge that everybody's looking for. And so I started doing that. I am confident. And it just very quickly, it wasn't like the first time I did it, but very quickly I was able to get up on stage, no problem, without any nervousness. And now it's like you, it's just second nature now.
Anytime I'm trying to work on something, maybe there's some stress, which achievers call, it's the achiever's word for fear. Maybe there's some stress, and I'll say, I am courage. And I'll say, I'll emphasize different words. I am courage. And I'll just do this for 30 minutes and it gets into your psyche. It's so powerful.
It's corny. It sounds corny. Sometimes it feels corny, but it works.
So it absolutely works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely works.
Let's talk now. Okay. So, man, 2008 came, it smacked you. You got pummeled by, you call it your seminars. You got ripped apart.
It was a big seminar. Yep.
Yeah. Big seminar, but man, you did things right. You built it back up, and you've been very successful now with multifamily, but now you are bearish about this market. And I am. One thing you said, I want to clarify here. You said you got swallowed up. The wave just swallowed you up the last time, but now you're going to surf the wave.
Yes, sir.
Why are you going to surf the wave this time? What's going to allow you to
because there's an incredible opportunity. There were people that literally became billionaires capitalizing on what happened in 2008 and 2009. I remember seeing a picture of one guy on a yacht, and so I believe that's coming again. And for a lot of reasons. But again, it's not a time to be afraid. It's a time to recognize that, some economists are saying the greatest transfer of wealth in history is coming. Even if it's just a version of that, it still means, listen, we've closed on one asset in the last year. That's because I'm super conservative. This deal broke even at 59% occupied when we bought it. Okay. It's even better than that now. So, super conservative. And now we have 2 deals under contract. Okay. We got a big one in Nashville, another one in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And the deals are already starting to happen. Great deals. With long-term fixed debt, again, low loan to value, 65% loan to value, one's Freddie Mac, another one's an in-house product, 10-year term, so safe, conservative deals that still have fantastic returns. And so, it's and I think better deals are even coming. And so here's why. Okay. Over the last few years, a lot of operators and I'm not talking about single family so much. Now I think there could be a blip there too, but that's not my focus anymore. But over the last few years, a lot of operators have used bridge debt to buy these properties. And so what is bridge debt? Bridge debt is really the equivalent of hard money loans in the single family space. Okay. It's short term, it's expensive, can be anywhere from, 12 months to 36 months. I mean, in the past year, they've done 3-1-1s where you get a 3-year term and 2 1-year extensions, but it's adjustable rate debt, number one.
Yep.
Up until just recently, you didn't have to buy a rate cap. Okay. Now lately you had to. I mean, we got quoted $1 million on a rate cap on a bridge loan on a $44 million deal a couple of months ago.
3% of your loan.
Yeah, for a 2% rate cap, just to make sure the rate doesn't go up over 2%. But and so it was, the bridge loans were originally put there to purchase an asset that wasn't stabilized. Let's say it wasn't 90% occupied for 90 days, which it has to be to get conforming debt, or it needed heavy repair. And so you'd use the bridge debt, but it's onerous debt as well, because you have to do whatever your business plan says you're going to do, or there could be issues, big issues. You also have debt service coverage requirements. And some of them have some pretty onerous clauses in them. And so, the problem is, if you didn't do a rate cap and the rates have effectively almost doubled already, you're going to have some trouble. You're going to have some trouble meeting those debt service coverage requirements. Or maybe when you try to refinance out, you were conservative on your exit cap on your refinance and your refinance interest rate.
And your interest rate.
Or maybe you were aggressive with your rent increases. I saw some operator offering memorandums on deals where the rents doubled year one. I'm like, really? Yeah, really? Okay. And then 10% rent increases for 5 years. Really? Yeah. I don't think so. And these guys are, I mean, I was in best and final on a ton of deals this last year. And I'm like, it traded for what?
Right.
There's no way those investors are going to get those returns. I hope they don't lose their money. And so, I think a lot of those deals are going to be in trouble. I think they're going to go in receivership. So again, my point is, if there's ever a time to learn this business, is right now, because there's going to be opportunity at the very least in those loans. Okay. If it gets bigger, I don't think, the Fed thinks they're going to fix this thing by raising interest rates. And I don't believe that's going to do it because there's just too much money out there. They've printed and they're talking about doing it again. I just read an article today that if they don't print more money, they're not going to be able to pay their interest payments to the debt, the 30 trillion in debt that the United States owes. So they're going to make it even worse. And,
I hope there's no more money being printed. We've already printed enough.
I literally just read it today. I hope okay. Because according to this guy in September, they have to pay interest on that 30 trillion. Hey, by the way, if you want to see something that'll blow your mind, go on Google and put in the difference between $1 million and $1 trillion, and it will blow your mind. It's like a person standing next to a skyscraper, maybe bigger. And $1 trillion is a shit ton of money. I mean, it's a lot of money. Okay. So, just recognize that's one of the biggest problems. The other thing that the Fed has said they're going to do is quantitative easing. And so, the Fed owns a lot of this CMBS debt. The Fed owns like $2.3 trillion of this debt. And they've said, and they've been the net buyer. They've been buying this from Fannie and Freddie and so on and so forth, the CMBS debt. And they've said they're going to become a net seller. And if that happens, that will really dry up the capital markets as well. So again,
when
the
they
problem
have been recently, we'll see if they keep it up, but they have been recently.
Yeah. So they've said they're going to, so we'll see, and so, the issue up to this point has been finding the deals. The issue moving forward is going to be finding the money. And
good point.
Like I said, but there's incredible, and I'm in a lot of cash right now, thankfully, by design. I mean, it's killing me. The inflation's killing it. And I hate that, but cash is king in one of these things too. Not just your own cash, but your ability to raise cash. And, it's one of the things I'm going to spend a lot of time on at the boot camp is, talking about how you pre-frame your investors so they're not fearful when it happens, so that you have access to cash, because, this fear is going to be rampant. The news will do the same crap they did in 08 and 09, saying it's going to be bad in real estate for 10 years, which, was complete baloney. Hell, multifamily is such an incredible asset class. The rents actually exceeded 2006 levels within 3 years of the crash. That's how fast it rebounded in that massive crash. So, I do, like I said, I'm an opportunist. I believe there's opportunity coming, and I'm going to plan to capitalize on it. So
a recession, although may hurt your current assets. If you bought them right, you can manage them right. You've got good debt. You should
operating
be able to
reserves,
operating reserves.
I've seen lots of these
like you
operators.
Said, cash is king.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's killing people right now to have cash. I'm the same way. I'm very cash heavy. I'm more cash heavy than I'd like to be, especially when we were looking at 8 to probably more like 11 or 12% inflation.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's painful, but I also understand, like you said, what's probably coming. And cash is king in those times. And if you don't, those who don't have cash are going to run out of money quickly. And
or access to cash. Again, access to cash is just as critical. So, and again, if you make it to Denver, I'm going to spend a lot of time on this because you've got to pre-frame your investors so they're not running for the hills when this happens. And we're already, the biggest complaint that I've heard at these conferences that I go to is, investors are starting to become more scared. They need their hands held. They're becoming fearful. And so this is, that's going to be important because, these deals take money. These multifamily deals take money, but it doesn't have to be your own money. It's a beautiful thing about this business is, again, it's a team sport, and gosh, people have been creamed in the stock market, and we won't even talk about crypto. I've seen guys on social media literally crying on their feed because they lost millions of dollars. And so, real estate purchased right is a fantastic hedge. And like I said, I've seen some of these operator offering memorandums, and I see them doing their presentations, and I ask the question, do you have any operating reserves? And it's like crickets. It's like, seriously, you're not putting any money in the bank? Are you kidding me? So we do 6 months on our deals of total, all of our expenses, debt and everything, just in case, right.
Yeah. You have to be smart. The people that are doing things like you're talking about are going to make it through this time. Again, the returns maybe on the deals that they currently have aren't going to be as good as what they hoped. Maybe they're not getting 10% rent growth.
Right.
But if you didn't have to rely on 10% rent growth, you're going to make it through, and you're going to be okay. And those deals will end up going up in value, but it's going to provide you amazing amount of opportunity if you're there to be able to take advantage of it, and you're not fearful, like you said. And I noticed a big drop in investor interest in just May. And I talked to a lot of operators that did raises in May, and everybody I talked to said May was their most difficult month to raise money in. And I'm sure June has been just as bad. We haven't had a deal to raise in June, but investors get fearful as well, even though real estate's doing fantastic. It doesn't matter.
Sure they do. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I could be wrong. My kids love to tell me, you're tired of being wrong. That's one of their lines. But, I got to tell you, it just feels like it's coming to me. And my gut is usually fairly well honed. And, there are a lot of things that are counter to that argument, like the need for housing right now, like the, employment market's pretty strong, really strong right now. But I tell you, if things continue to, there's going to be big layoffs if things continue the path that we're headed down right now. The supply chain issues, the price of gas, inflation has been insane. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out a couple of years from now. We'll have to circle back and revisit this conversation. In a couple of years.
There's a lot of fun conversations I'll be having over the next couple of years, and you as well, as like this stuff shakes out. But one thing I do know for sure, Rod, is that people like to survive. They like to stay alive, and they will figure out how to stay alive. And if you're a multifamily owner, that means people are going to start doubling up. People aren't going to just continue to pay these exorbitant rents if you're going to try to be charging them for them all the time. So people are going to double up. There's going to be pressure. And quite frankly, even if that doesn't happen, you've already mentioned, you got these loans that are coming due. A lot of operators never underwrote for what's happening today with the debt
they
market.
didn't at all. And
alone.
Yeah. And they pro forma big rent increases just to literally, to survive on these assets, and they're not going to be there. It's interesting. if you listen to my podcast, I started to hear a pattern about the people that had, 5,000 or more doors. Most of them started in 2009, 2010, 11, and 12. That's what we call a clue. Okay. And so, it was right after the crash. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But again, don't be fearful. Get excited. Get excited.
Yeah, get excited. Anytime we have change like this, it's time to get excited. It's time to be aware, be really just looking for the opportunity that's going to come in front of you. Like we've already mentioned, your life is full of abundance. Let's actually take advantage of that abundance. Rod, we're out of time, but I want to ask the same question I ask every guest, and I asked you before, you answered it, but hey, answers change. So I want to know, what are your 3 pillars of wealth creation?
3 pillars of wealth creation. Well, I consider wealth not just financial.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So, I have a charity. We've fed over 120,000 children for the last 22 years, done 10,000,
that's the
thousands of backpacks, Tiny Hands Foundation. Yeah. Tens of thousands of backpacks with school supplies. That's coming up real soon for us. We've done, tens of thousands of teddy bears to local police departments for officers to keep in their vehicles when they encounter a child that's been traumatized. So one of my pillars is philanthropy. And that's a wealth pillar for me. Yeah. Another one is really my education. I get so much love and feedback, and literally, like today, some guy told me he just got 200 doors since my boot camp. And I mean, it literally today just got the text. And so every day I get love like that. And so definitely that is another pillar of wealth for me, is just to teach. And the other one, of course, is for me, is my relationships with the love of my life, my kids, and my students, and those are my pillars of wealth. It's not financial anymore. I don't care what I look like at a boot camp. You'll see me in flip-flops. I'm about comfort. I don't have anybody to impress anymore. I don't care about the stupid shit like the cars I still love my watches. I love my watches. I do. You'll see nice watches on me if you come see me. But other than that, that's it. Anyway, those are my answers.
Love it. That's great. Man, thanks for all, Rod, that you're doing in this industry, your education, and obviously with the Tiny Hands Foundation. That's amazing. That's awesome. Love the podcast. So how could our listeners, I mean, I'm sure there's
I forgot to share something. Yeah, I forgot to share something, actually. If you can't make my boot camp, if you can make the boot camp, for God's sakes, come. I promise you'll be glad you did. If you, after the 3 days, you didn't love it, let me know. I'll give you your money back. I don't mean like it. I mean,
when is that again? You say
it's July 29th, 30th, and 31st in Denver. Denver's United's hub. You can fly there anywhere nonstop. And we got some really reasonable hotels near this venue that are very reasonable. But
what was the text code?
Text code. Yeah, you got text Rod to 72345. Rod 72344, or go to rodindenver.com.
We'll put that in the show notes too.
Right. So Rod to 72345, or go to rodindenver.com and remember the code RODFRIEND as one word. And you can come for $197. The price will be probably $700 in a couple of weeks here. But and again, it's not a big sales pitch at all. It's all training. I mean, you know this, Todd. You were there. And we do 3 panels a day. You were on one of the panels. We answer questions. It's just a blast. And you will laugh, you will cry, you will get super pumped. It's not like your typical real estate boot camp at all, as you well know, Todd. And but anyway, but if you can't come, I did my goal setting workshop on New Year's Day this year. I do it every year around the 1st. And if you go to rodslinks.com, RODSLINKS, rodslinks.com. First of all, all my stuff is there. There's free books, free articles, all my Forbes articles and books. And at the bottom is this goal setting workshop. And listen, do it with your spouse, do it with your kids if they're over 10 years old. See how aligned you are. People spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. This is designing your life. So anyway, thanks for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it. Good to see you.
Man, it's been a blast. Really appreciate it. And you have a fantastic rest of the day.
You too, my friend. Take care.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.